Hey everybody, I'm Amy Cunningham, and I'm here today to talk to you about something that I created as a product of my work with the Smithsonian American Art Museum this summer at their SAAM Teach program, which was amazing. I created this lesson, and throughout the lesson, I'll reference Project Zero concepts and strategies, which I also learned about at the Institute. And these are just this huge toolkit of routines and strategies that you can easily apply in your classroom at any grade level, really. And if you have those, you can access those for free if you just Google Project Zero, and I highly recommend that you check those out. And as you'll see, I use several of them in this lesson. Okay, so this is the art that I chose. We should start with the art. This is a piece by George Catlin. He created this painting as a part of a series that he created and published along with a book. And basically what he was trying to do was to capture the culture and dress and customs of Native people at the time, basically because he believed they were going to go extinct. And so he created this whole gallery. And so we're going to start with this particular piece for this lesson. This lesson is intended for 10th grade English language arts students. And through this lesson, students are going to we're going to hone in on practicing close reading strategies to develop a sophisticated interpretation using evidence to support a claim. And then, as always, when I'm using a lesson, my main goal is to think about how these skills can extend beyond just the classroom and just this particular lesson, but how they could be used in potential real life scenarios. So we'll do that. I also always consider global competencies. And so in this case, students are going to consider the damaging implications of reducing people to generalizations or stereotypes, and maybe even how they might participate or be affected by that. Okay, so why this piece of all the pieces in the Smithsonian? I chose this piece because, first of all, it was created in particular to make a statement about Native American identity, like it has a thesis. And so that makes it really something that would be a little bit easier for us to try to create claims about. It also exemplifies a conflict that's pretty universal, this idea of having various facets of yourself that might be in conflict or put into conflict by the world around us. So that's why I chose this piece. The steps for learning that we'll take throughout the lesson is that students are going to consider this idea of a multifaceted, complex personality, practice those close reading strategies, discuss the social implications of this text, because for me, the text is always the vehicle. So we use the text as a way to practice skills, learn skills, and then hopefully through that process, they do develop an appreciation for the text. But that I think should come organically later as they go through. Okay, so first of all, thinking about this idea of a multifaceted personality, I created this graphic organizer called The Many Faces of Me. And on it, students will consider how they are different and what parts of themselves remain the same in different contexts. So different facets of their personality. So what are some adjectives that would describe you when you are being a friend or an academic? That's something with 10th graders I really try to help them think about, is their development as an academic person, as a family member. And then I left a space for them to add another facet of their personalities that they think is important. And they'll just brainstorm some adjectives that would describe themselves in that role. And that will be sort of the warm up for the lesson. From there, we'll go into the text, looking at the painting and using VTS. That's one of those Project Zero strategies that I was talking about earlier. And start by answering the question, what's going on in this picture? And this picture has a great story to tell. So they'll practice not just saying what's going on, but what makes you think that. And so that's close reading, basically like looking in and giving reasons for the assumptions that you're making or the claims that you're making about a piece. We're going to continue this skill by using this chart, which comes from Catlin's publication that went along with his gallery of paintings. And so you'll see that he had this theory about original and secondary. He called them Indians, that basically the closer proximity to white culture, the more corruption happens to original Native people. And you can see on the chart, there are some overlapping adjectives, but for the most part, the original Indians are positive adjectives, and then the secondary or the figure on the right in the painting are corrupted. So students will pick adjectives from this chart and they'll place them on each figure. What details in the painting demonstrate Catlin's theory about these people that he's painting, and then giving reasons. So if, for example, if he believes that original Native people are healthy and that secondary are sickly, what are some of the details in the painting that would support that? Okay, so then we'll step away for just a little bit from the painting and think a little bit more about how this could be evident in a situation that pertains to their life. And so I'm going to ask them to imagine that they are preparing for an interview at the college of their dreams, and they have to display their academic persona. So using generate, sort, connect, elaborate, they'll think of evidence. If you say you're hardworking, what evidence do you have to support that claim? After they brainstorm some ideas about how they would respond to an interview question about what attributes they would bring to a college, they'll share those ideas with a peer, and then they'll use does it fit to kind of evaluate their answers, and then they'll create a final draft in which they record themselves answering that question as if they were in an interview. So after that, after they've practiced using evidence to support a claim about themselves in that case, and then students will discuss the social implications of this text using think, pair, share. What do you notice about the list of adjectives? What might be different, like really considering the problematic nature of the fact that Catlin is a white man who is painting these people that he is not a part of their culture. And so he's projecting some of his assumptions onto them. And what's problematic about that? And how might this painting be different if it were created by someone who was from that culture? And then thinking about times when we do this to people, when we kind of project our assumptions onto them and limit them to a very narrow view. And finally, students will engage in some metacognition with a final journal prompt, a version of Connect, Extend, Challenge, and just think about what would happen to them if the whole world viewed them as only one of those facets of themselves, and they were expected to kind of adhere to that one piece of themselves for their entire life in all times. What conflicts would arise? What effect would this have on you? What would you lose? And how is this similar to Catlin's depiction of Native people? And how can we not do that? How can we avoid reducing people to a stereotype? And so journaling about that topic. So if you'd like all the details about how this lesson works, they're available in the Smithsonian Learning Lab, which is just this rich source of lessons created by all kinds of people who have studied at the Smithsonian and worked with their learning lab. Highly recommend you check that out. You can just Google Smithsonian Learning Lab to find that, and you'll be just overwhelmed by all that there is to see. Okay, so that is my presentation, and I hope that you guys check out some of those resources and just focus on creating joy in your classrooms.